This video is in reference to the Crosse technology solar rechargeable anemometer. It's the model TX63U as in uniform -IT as in Tom. Anyway, I got this set up. I got a couple of these, one for my primary residence and one for my beach house, back in I think 2011 2012 at Costco, and the system has been great, except a couple of times now I've had to replace the batteries, the rechargeable batteries inside of the anemometer. I called Crosse Technology, and of course they said that this is not serviceable. I've asked them for their batteries, because these are the batteries that were inside there. They clearly say Crosse Technology AAA 1.5 volt rechargeable alkaline. Rechargeable NiCads, rechargeable nickel metal hydride will not work. The voltage is too low. Rechargeable lithium batteries, the voltage, they're 3.7 volts. The voltage is too high. It's got to be rechargeable alkaline. Anyway, I got tired of beating around the bush with Crosse Technology, so I started looking around, and I found these juice refresh batteries on eBay. I think you can find them on Amazon or eBay, and the little kit that I got came with a half dozen AAAs and a half dozen AAs. This part of the unit right here, this is the pickup for the wind direction. There's a light sensitive diode inside of this little unit right here, this little black unit, and it's held to the board here with two little plastic pins that are very fragile. And the first time I opened this thing up, I yanked up on this shaft here to get the weather vane off, and I snapped it off. And all I did is I took a little 5-minute epoxy, and it's worked just fine. And I'm just real careful. When you take this thing apart, the first thing you want to do is take the screw out of the top of the weather vane and pull it off before you do anything else. Otherwise, you run the risk of bringing this thing up too far and busting this off from the board. But again, if you do, it's going to snap off down at the bottom, and you can just glue it back down to the board. Anyway, you clean up the contacts here, put your new batteries in place, and make sure the shaft is not binding on anything here. Make sure that there's no debris in there. There's actually some little brackets in here that hold these batteries in place, because these batteries are just barely hanging in here on these clips. So after I put it in, I usually check on the bottom of the board and make sure the voltage is still there. Anyway, put this thing back together. There we go. See, it just kind of pops in there. Just like that. And there's 4 screws here. As long as the thing is sitting and lining up with the 4 holes for the 4 screws, we'll go ahead and pop them in real quick. There we go. Don't over tighten, just snug. Okay, at this point, I'll take my multimeter and make sure the voltage is here on the batteries. So you got your contacts here for the battery. I always check to make sure those batteries didn't pop loose in there. And also right here underneath this this masking here, these two contact points, that's where you can check your output for your solar panel. That's where the feed comes in for the solar panel. And that, if you're under direct sunlight, that should be at or above 1.5 volts to those 2 points right there. So anyway, we'll continue on here. Make sure that's free in there, it's not binding on anything. So the bottom goes on first. There's a silicone rubber seal that goes around here. You want to make sure it's in place. Oh, I almost forgot the reset button. There's a little silicone cup with a little carbon contact in it, and that guy sits right here. That's the reset button. It sits right there on that. So if I remember right, I put the reset button in its cup here, like so. That way I know that it's going to be in the right place. And then, so that it doesn't move, you keep it turned that way, like that. And that will snug right up. That seal will hold it in place, just like that. Hold it in place, and we'll get the other screws started here.
One, two, three, and four. Just like that. Don't have to go too snug.
That's all there is to it. Just like that. Be very careful, these things are fragile as heck. It's a flat side here to make sure that it's referenced properly. Flat side inside of there. Push it down on there. It's just snug, not too terrible tight. Then we've got a screw with a little rubber washer there underneath it, and that's a machine threads on that. There we go. And last but not least, the dust cap, dirt cap, whatever. And that's it. That's all she wrote. It's good to go. And just remember, you use a toothpick or a little piece of plastic to reset. You can feel the reset springing back in there. That's all there is to it. So, just briefly to recap, make sure that you get a line on some ALKALINE rechargeable batteries, and be careful when you're taking this apart. Take the weather vane off first, and then you remove the base, and then the whole assembly should just drop out of there. And if you happen to snap off that little pickup for the wind direction that I showed you, just epoxy it back down. So, contrary to what Crosse technology says, these are serviceable. I've gotten many years of service out of this guy, and it's going to go back up on the roof and hopefully go for another year until I can find a better brand of alkaline rechargeable battery. Hey, thanks for watching, and if I've forgotten anything, or if you have any questions, please ask away.